This is the SFFaudio Podcast. I'm Scott.
This is Jesse.
Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning, Scott.
How's it going up there in Canada? Oh, wait, I'm not supposed to use locations. Now that I know where to find you.
Actually, I prefer British Columbia anyways.
Oh, okay. Is that its own country?
I'm always lived in British Columbia, so I except for like a summer or something, so
I see.
I don't, not a separatist or anything, but
okay. You're not for that.
No.
Well, that's good. All right, I got a couple of new arrivals for us.
Okay.
Should we jump right in?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, the first one is by Patricia A. McKillop, and the title is Odd Magic. The first word is O-D, and magic.
Okay.
So Fantasy, read by Gabrielle DeCure. I'll go ahead and read the back here. Brendan Vetch has a gift. With an innate sense he cannot explain to himself or describe to others, he is able to connect to the agricultural world, nurturing gardens to flourish instinctively, knowing the healing properties each plant and herb has to offer. But Brendan's gift isolates him from his community, until the day he receives a personal invitation from the wizard Odd. She needs a gardener for her school in the great city of Kelior, where every potential wizard must be trained to serve the kingdom of Numis. For decades, the rulers of Numis have controlled the school, believing they can contain the power within it. They punish any wizard who dares defy the law, but unknown to the reigning monarchy is the power possessed by the school's new gardener, a power even Brendan isn't fully aware of, and which is the true reason why Odd recruited him. Dun dun! There it is.
Mm-hmm. It does sound like odd magic in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's, garden, green thumb sort of magic.
Sure. You bet. Okay, that's, I remember, didn't she write Riddle Master of Head? Did you,
I've heard her name before, but I don't, can't really recall what it would go with.
Sure. Well, that's a new one from Blackstone Audio. That's the first audiobook by this author that I am aware of, but I know she's written a lot. Okay, and also from Blackstone is a new Charles DeLint novel read by Kate Redding, so the reading is fantastic. Gabrielle DeCure is good too. Dreams Underfoot is what this one's called.
Good title.
Welcome to Newford, to the music clubs, the waterfront, and the alleyways where ancient myths and magic spill into the modern world. Gimmons live in abandoned cars, and Skells traverse the tunnels below, while mermaids swim in the grey harbor waters and fill the cold night with their song. Come meet Jilly, painting wonders in the rough streets, and Geordie, playing fiddle while he dreams of a ghost, and the angel of Grasso Street gathering the fey and the wild and the poor and the lost. Dreams Underfoot is a must-read book not only for fans of urban fantasy, but for all who seek magic in everyday life. And that's it. So it sounds like a urban fantasy from Charles DeLint, which is his specialty. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sounds good. Another Blackstone title, right?
Another Blackstone, yep. Both those arrived this week.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I saw them, actually, they're on Audible as well.
Oh,
And I spotted something on Audible that I thought was really noteworthy. It's not a recent arrival at this point, but it's certainly a new release. Pebble in the Sky by Isaac Asimov.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. It says it's his first novel, which I guess could be true because he's written so many. He must have had a first.
Yeah.
But it feels like he's had an infinite number of books, so finding out which one is first might be difficult, so I'm not 100% sure that's true.
We'll have to break out the archaeologists to figure out which one's really first, huh?
Yeah.
Piece together history.
It says it's from BBC Audiobooks America, but I haven't spotted it on their new releases yet, so maybe it's a little early.
Mm-hmm.
but it's end of January release for 2009, read by Robert Fass, 8 hours, and here's this summary. One moment, Joseph Schwartz is happily retired tailor in Chicago, 1949. The next, he's a helpless stranger on an Earth during the heyday of the First Galactic Empire. Earth, as he soon learns, is a backwater, just a pebble in the sky, despised by all the other 200 million planets of the Empire, because its people dare to claim it is the original home of man. And Earth is poor, with the great areas of radioactivity ruining much of its soil. So poor that everyone is sentenced to death at the age of 60. Joseph Schwartz is 62.
Huh.
And it says, this is Isaac Asimov's first full novel, full of wonders and ideas, the book that launched the novels of the Galactic Empire, culminating in the Foundation series.
Wow.
So,
yeah, it does sound a little bit similar to, well, one aspect of it is the, Where's Earth from the Foundation series.
For some reason, I don't recall reading this in paper book before. I do have a copy, but for some reason I thought I had read it. I guess I haven't. Huh. Doesn't sound that familiar. But it does. The plot sort of sounds familiar. It sounds like an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Well, I think they
forced retirement.
They drew on Asimov some, for sure. Clearly. In Star Trek.
Foundation, Federation, there you go.
Yeah.
Not that different. The other one that when I discovered it was on Audible, I had to make a recent arrival, was when I talked about it on a previous podcast, the Michael Chabon story called Gentlemen of the Road. You remember me talking about that one?
Yes, I do, yep.
The alternate title for which was Jews with Swords. And it's like a novel of adventure. I'm not sure how much fantasy elements there are in it, but it just sounds very good. Sort of an obscure historical or pseudo-historical setting. So I'll be telling you more about that one as I get into it.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So what have you been listening to?
I'm actually listening to non-science fiction right now.
Yes?
Yeah, it's a book by James Lee Burke. My wife got me into this guy, James Lee Burke. He writes mysteries set in New Orleans. And I don't know if you call this noir or not, so you just let me know. But he wrote a series of books about a guy named Dave Robichaux. And the thing that kind of sets James Lee Burke apart is his writing style is very poetic, and it's very pleasant to listen to, very pleasant to read. And even though he's talking about the most violent things, just like, what's the guy's name who, the director that does the ultra-violent movies, but yet it's almost poetry on the screen and everybody watches him? He did, Pulp Fiction.
Oh, Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah. I can compare him to that in just the way that there's a poeticness to the presentation of it.
Yeah.
But Dave Robichaux is a guy, he's got a lot of problems of his own. And anyway, this is the third novel I've read by him, and it's called In the Electric Mist with the Confederate Dead.
Okay, you gave a hint as to whether it's noir or not. It can't be a series if it's noir.
Okay. So
the reason being,
no. Yeah, the
reason being, the guy would be dead by the end of the novel, or his life would be so ruined as to be unable to continue, even if he's not dead. Basically, there's no way for your protagonist to live or continue. How about that? I mean, it's possible that you could have a noir series, but I just can't picture how.
No clue how. Right.
Yeah, but almost guaranteed.
Gotcha. But it's excellent, and we found out before I started the book, after I started the book, that there's a movie coming out called In the Electric Mist. And it's going to be out this month, but I haven't seen any ads for it or anything, and it's got Tommy Lee Jones in it. But IMDb says that it's coming out this month. There's been one other movie made of James Lee Burke's Dave Robichaux, and it was called Heaven's Prisoners. And it was by Alec Baldwin was in it.
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
Yeah.
I may have read a James Lee Burke not that many years ago, or listened to an audiobook. I know, I'm somewhat familiar with it. Yeah, sort of the South is his setting.
Right. Yeah, and he wrote another series of books. I can't remember what the protagonist's name is, but they're set in Montana. So I think it's kind of the same universe, and I know that the books cross because one of the previous books of the Dave Robichaux I read was in Montana as well. He had to drive up to Montana. So, anyway. But yeah, it's got a great cast, this movie, but it says it's coming out on February 20th, 2009, and I haven't seen a single thing or a trailer or anything, but it's got, there's a trailer on IMDb. I'll have to take a look at that later.
Mm-hmm.
But we went to a movie last night, me and my wife.
What'd you say?
Taken, starring Liam Neeson.
Yeah, I've heard a couple things about that.
Yeah, I don't know if they would be good things.
Oh, really?
It wasn't a terrible movie, but it's one of those movies where you wish they had gone through an editor one more time, the script.
Not well edited?
No, the editing of the film was fine, but the editing of the script was no good. There was just obvious flaws and things that they left in there that, they make you groan a little bit. You're like, come on. So, it wasn't a terrible movie, but the script needed another pass.
Well, what I was reading about it was saying that it would be a good series for people who like the Parker series. Let's see.
Well, I don't know about that. Well, I guess I don't know enough about.
Yeah, you haven't read it, so this is what it says here. Critic James Ward thinks you might enjoy Taken, and then it says, in the end of Taken, the movie is the equivalent of a Pulp Fiction novel, something that Mickey Spillane or Richard Stark would have written. It's tough, fast-paced, and most important, entertaining. And when I watched the trailer, I thought there's something really compelling about Liam Neeson's character in it, and then I thought the plot was something that feels very tired and old. Mm-hmm. And so it was like a good character with an old, tired plot.
Uh-huh.
His motivation is like seemed like what was driving the trailer, rather than what we really care about is what he's doing, and yet the plot was a creaky way of getting that on the screen.
Okay.
The setup.
Sure.
Just
and if you've watched the trailer, you've heard Liam Neeson's best lines.
Yeah.
So I can't disagree with that.
Okay.
It is quick paced. The action scenes are good. It was an edge of your seat kind of a thing, but when the characters spoke, it was like, oh boy. Maybe if there was no talking.
Okay. So, maybe it should be
very, very poor dialogue, and there were a couple of glaring things that if I was, the director or whatever, I would have immediately fixed.
Got it.
Yep. But that it's pulpy, yeah, it sure is.
Yeah, I was reading this on the Violent World of Parker blog, which is a new blog version of an old website that's back up and running. I've been the admin for the Yahoo group for a few years, but it wasn't started by me. But I'm a big fan of this website and series. So anything that gets mentioned on here is like, oh, this sounds good. I'll have to check it out. So I've been looking at the trailer and trying to convince myself to go to see the movie, even though the plot looked a little bit creaky, even though the character looked good. So maybe your criticism is going to keep me from going to it.
Oh, see, I've ruined it for everyone.
I don't know that's true. You may have saved us some trouble. Yeah, I find you can't trust the IMDb ratings until, at least 10 years after the after the movie comes out. Even then, not always.
Right. Hey, Christine Catherine Rush, her latest retrieval artist book is book number 7, Duplicate Effort, is on Audible. It's fantastic. Yeah, so this is kind of it's a mystery, it's a science fiction mystery series that would make an excellent television series, in my opinion.
Okay.
Cops on the moon. So, aliens and all kinds of good stuff going on. So
I've only read the first novella, and I think I started listening to the one they gave away free for a very limited time.
Yeah. And I've got number 1 in my queue. I've read it in print.
Okay.
I've read the first 3 in print, and then haven't kept up. I keep buying them, but I haven't read them yet. It's like, can't keep up. She comes out with about 1 a year.
Gotcha.
But it's a good series. It's, it's something that I definitely want to read. But now I get a good chance because it's on audio. I can do it while I'm driving.
Rick Jackson sent me an email earlier this week telling me about the sale that Audible's having for short stories. Did you see that?
I did. Yes.
Yeah. So they chose one of his Wonder Audio titles for the first week, a 99-cent cheapo buy, which is really good.
Yeah.
I guess you wouldn't use a credit on that, obviously.
Right.
But if you're an Audible user and you've got 99 cents ready, I'd get that for sure. Coming Attraction by Fritz Leiber's his title.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it, it's not a rotating thing, it's these 4?
It is, actually. It's
okay.
4 this week and then 4 next week, and the week after, another 4.
Great.
The other thing I did this week, I think might be interesting, was I made a one-click browser of instantly downloadable audiobook titles. Called it LibriVox plus SFFaudio equals instant iTunes audiobook. Okay. So basically, it's a page on the features page. It's a subpage on the features page that allows you to browse through the covers of LibriVox releases, and then you can just say, "Oh, that one looks interesting," just by the cover or the title, who's on it, who wrote it, who read it, and instantly automatically download the first chapter.
Oh, cool.
In iTunes, so it'll go to your iPod immediately. But you have to have iTunes or it won't work.
Okay.
But I put 40 titles, a little over 40 titles in there.
Neat. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Good-looking covers, wow.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that it looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it does. It's very nice.
It's not very organized, though. It's just sort of random covers.
You bet.
But, it's like browsing the bookshelves.
Yep.
I have a feeling our blind audience will not be too functional with this, just because there's no text. Except the pictures are labeled, but that you might as well just skip this page if you're blind, I would guess.
Right.
But yeah, I've tried it out and it seems to work pretty good too.
Yeah.
So just run your mouse over it, you find one you like, click it, and then it's automatically downloading into your iPod.
You bet. Hey, I read an article last week, and I wish I could remember where it was from, but I can't. But it was titled "Here Comes the E-Book Revolution."
Okay.
So all of the promise and talk that we've had. This person who wrote the article believes that now we're actually on the edge of it, and Amazon this week is going to make 2 announcements, and this fellow said that the first announcement is the Kindle Part 2, or the Kindle version 2, and then the second announcement is that Kindle books are going to be available for iPhones. So, anyway, what do you think about that? You think? I guess what's the extent of the e-book revolution going to be? I think about myself, and I've grown to really like the book part of the book, and I don't know that would ever go away. But if you're a reader, if you buy hardcover books, and you buy a Kindle for $300, that Kindle actually pays for itself. You can calculate how many books, but a brand new hardcover would cost $9.99 on your Kindle, and $25 in print.
Well, the hardcover doesn't cost you $9.99. What you're getting is the text.
Exactly. Yeah, but you understand what I mean. Yeah.
I do. I don't think the Kindle's going to make everyone suddenly stop buying paper books, no matter how good it is, because it's a tool for accessing something rather than the thing itself. That's the big difference between an ebook and a regular book. Is an ebook is data. A Kindle is not data. It's just a object that lets you get it. So, like Wikipedia has made the encyclopedia redundant. Nobody goes around, carrying a set of encyclopedias from place to place anymore.
Sure.
But if the Kindle uses DRM, which I'm very guessing it does, it's not going to be universally accepted like Wikipedia is.
True. Yep. Another aspect of this is PC Magazine, which I've subscribed to for a long time, has gone 100% digital now. So no more hard copies in the mail. Which is, I don't like that, because what they've done is basically given you a way to look at a magazine online. It's the magazine with all the ads, all the layouts, the same and stuff, but it's just online now.
Yeah, it's kind of, maybe it's a situation where you've got the theater versus movies. People still go to the theater and watch movies, to watch plays, but it's not as popular as it was before movies got invented.
Uh-huh.
So it might be the case that digital PDF magazines will be around for 100 years more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like the idea, but I got to tell you, it's not very convenient to have pages when what you really want is instant access. That's what makes web pages good. Is you have instant access.
Sure.
You don't need to flip through digitally. Just using a PDF is less convenient for a lot of things. It's good for printing out.
Uh-huh.
And it's nice that it's searchable.
Yeah, and that's something that is the biggest bonus for digital that I can think of, is that it's searchable.
Just think of it this way: have audiobooks destroyed paper books? No.
Oh no, they haven't.
So
what about
digital books are not going to destroy paper books?
Do you think? Audible. With the downloadable audiobook, that has really changed some things there, though. It's like the perfect medium. The internet delivery is a perfect medium for audiobooks.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
I don't hang out at the bookstore audiobook section as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm. I always go over there.
I do too, but I don't scour the shelves the way I used to, because now I can look it up online and even when I am getting the hard copy, I can look it up online, and if they don't have it on the shelf, I can now order it, even to the local bookstore by finding the ISBN, and I'm not as worried about, checking the shelves to make sure I'm not missing something. I do actually do it anyways, and occasionally I turn up something I wasn't expecting. The one thing about having it done this way is if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to find it. Whereas when you go to the shelf, you just go through the whole shelf and you find something there that you weren't expecting to see. You're going to learn something.
I wonder if we look at music stores and as a model of what's going to happen to bookstores, albeit slower. Music stores still exist, but I actually haven't been into a store to buy music for years now. And I used to not be a regular customer, but when somebody had come out with an album that I wanted, that's where I'd go to get it. But now I just go to iTunes.
Well, I think Walmart has something to do with that too. Walmart's just killed music stores as well. It's not just online. Yeah. iTunes and that, it's certainly, there's something there. But I don't think the essential character of books and music are not the same. The people who are passionate about music are not passionate in the same way as people who are passionate about books. And there's 1,000 ways to be passionate about music, and there's 1,000,000 ways to be passionate about books. So there's never going to be complete, overlap. Any model that we're following, for one industry will never match exactly for another. So just don't worry too much about it, and just remember that any predictions people make are not are not that important.
I realize that, and I'm not worried about it. It's just an interesting thing.
A lot of people seem to be worried about it.
Well, the publishing industry is probably worried about it.
I don't know. I mean, I think that might just be that's what newspapers are writing about, because they have to fill the pages. I posted a review of The Book of Lies by Brad Meltzer.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's the one about Superman and Adam and Eve, or not Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel?
Cain and Abel and Superman. It's kind of a very strange juxtaposition. I don't think there's going to ever be a novel that puts those two things together. Again. So this has got to be the make or break story for this particular collection of ideas.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yep,
I see it there.
I'm almost finished listening to Phantom, so I'm going to do a review of that too shortly, the Dean Koontz novel.
Oh, okay.
What I've been reading about it, about the novel itself, is saying that it was rewritten later on in his career. It was originally written in 83 or something like that, or published in 83. And then when they republished it, I guess in the 90s or 2000s, they let him go in there and add some details like cell phones and stuff to update it. And I thought that was that's really cheesy. I don't know. I don't think I like that.
Yeah. I don't think I do.
Revisionism.
Yeah, that's no good. Yeah.
But why don't you like it? That's the real question. Why don't I like it? What's wrong with fixing your novel?
Well, Stephen King did that one time with The Stand.
Right.
But, his reasoning was when they originally published The Stand, they only allowed him 800 pages or so, when it was a 1,200-page book or something like that.
Right.
And so when he became powerful enough to get that published like he wanted, he did go in and not only add that stuff back, but he revised it to add some things as well to make it up to date. And I didn't mind that, but that was like a complete, I don't know, it wasn't only a revision, it was a restoration pretty much. And then he just updated it to the way he wanted it for that time, So I didn't mind that.
Well,
but at the
my
same
understanding...
time, I don't think the Time Machine would be the Time Machine if we went ahead and... Well, people rewrite the Time Machine all the time, right?
Yeah, but that's a different story.
They just don't call it the Time Machine by H.G. Wells.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the Star Wars updating the original Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I don't like it. But I got to tell you, you can make a case. One of the things that he said about it was that Dean Koontz did was that he made a little mistake in one scene. Early on, he had a scene where it was supposed to be spooky, right? Somebody has discharged their handgun in a room, and there are shell casings on the ground, right? Mm-hmm. But no bullets. So, what happened? So later on, we have some people come and find this scene, and they describe the scene as, the dead man's on the ground and he's discharged his gun, and his revolver is been fully discharged, right? So basically the problem is you can't have an automatic and then change to a revolver. Mm-hmm. So it's a little technical problem. He sort of forgot that, revolvers don't discharge their bullets automatically.
Right.
So in that case, you almost say, okay, well, you can fix that. It's just a little tiny thing. But he is rewriting the scene. It's not like fixing a typo in the, mm-hmm. They spelled the wrong, H-T-E or something like that. It's not the case of a typesetting error. This is a writing error. And I'm thinking it's a slippery slope. If you let him fix that, then why not let him fix something like the fact that there should be a line in there explaining why they can't use cell phones.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Right.
And so I'm thinking they should have just left it.
I didn't have a problem with updating the Star Wars movies, though.
No?
I really didn't. Why not?
Because it turned out crappy?
Well, let's say it turned out good.
And let's say it did.
Yeah, let's say it did. If it turned out good, are you against that?
I don't know. I think that the case can be made. I liked Blade Runner perfectly well before they revised it and, I guess, improved it by taking out the narration.
Cut. Yeah.
There's been several cuts. But I was fine with it the first time. When they went back and changed it, made that the official version, I wasn't horrified.
But that first version exists somewhere, doesn't it?
No. I mean, it does, but it's not the accessible version.
I see.
But I can't imagine there is ever going to be a law that requires authors not to tamper with their art after it's been released to the public. I can't ever imagine that law would exist. But I can certainly imagine feeling that there should be that law. So it's like tacky or distasteful or whatever.
So you'd want if he rewrote, Star Wars, you'd want it to be Star Wars version 2 or something.
I wouldn't want George Lucas touching the original. Mm-hmm. Just leave it alone. The subsequent Star Wars movies or prequels or whatever they are, they do not ruin the original movie. They might cheapen it, they might make it crappier or whatever. They don't ruin the original movie, but if he goes back and then edits things out and then adds things in, switches things around, and then makes the other ones unavailable, which is basically what happened at some point. Mm-hmm. That is disturbing. I feel a disturbance in the Force. I feel a disturbance in the art.
Well, I didn't have a problem with it. When I heard he was doing that, it wasn't like, I wasn't It's like it's his thing. I wasn't concerned about it. And,
It's not his thing. It's not his thing. Once he's released it, it's ours.
It's ours.
He gets the credit, but it's ours. It's like, here's a nice gift, and he gives it to us. And then he says, wait, I want to fix it. No, you can't do that, buddy. You can't. There's no give-you-backs. Once you put it out there, it's out. For good or ill. If people don't like it, too bad.
What about, the Star Trek putting in the special effects, no good as well? I haven't seen any of those.
What do you mean? The revised version of...
The revised series.
It's no good.
No good. No good.
I mean, it improves the picture, but does it improve the experience?
I'm doubting it, but I haven't seen it.
I have. I've seen it, and it feels like just like the regular Star Wars ones. Even when it's done well, it's done wrong because the scale's wrong. So you'll see, for example, in Amok Time, they have Spock battling Kirk or whatever it is on Vulcan. And you've got a tiny little arena, which is the size of a set. And then in the bridging sequences that they add, there's, the scale of the movies, where you see that little arena where they're having that little fight is actually atop a giant pillar of Earth or Vulcan or whatever. And so you say, wow, the scale's huge, they're making it more like a movie. And then I say, this is not the same thing as I watched when I originally watched it. It feels wrong, and the scale's wrong. It doesn't match. And in the same way that Star Wars is not improved by adding in little robots flying around every 3 seconds. It already had its robots, and they didn't fly around. They walked around. Or zipped around.
And they didn't hit each other.
And we didn't have to have any, jokes of little robots hitting each other.
Yeah, the one glaring moment in the original Star Wars movie that stuck out to me as totally wrong was when they put Jabba the Hutt in there with that scene with Han Solo. Yeah,
that's another.
And
good
that does make me wince.
As it should.
Oh, that's no good.
I know a lot of people were upset with the changing it so that Greedo's the guy who shoots first, as well. I mean, he's changing the morality of the story to fit his kid better or something.
Okay, maybe I didn't understand. That was actually a change.
Oh yeah, so the original story, right?
The original story, Han Solo owes somebody some money. The debt collector comes and says, "Give that money or you're in trouble." And instead of paying up, what's Han Solo do? He shoots him and then runs off. Well, in the revised version, Greedo shoots at Han first, and then Han shoots in response, right? Yeah. So it's not like a unjustified attack, unjustified murder. Well, that changes the nature of what Han Solo is. Han Solo is supposed to be a scoundrel, and a guy runs out on his debts, but we like him anyways. And now in the revised version, he's just a regular businessman defending himself from a bank that's too aggressive. All right, that I wasn't aware of.
Sure. They change. I mean, it's digitally changed. And this is not like, I edited it wrong the first time I did it. Put it in the wrong order. No, he's changed his morality, and now he wants to retroactively fix it. You know what it feels like? It feels like editing your own memories. You say, I've always been a supporter of animal rights, even though what you really were before was a guy who ate a lot of fish and a guy who ate a lot of dog. Like, wait a second, maybe he didn't eat a lot of dog. Maybe he ate a lot of cows.
Oh, man. Very nice.
That's what I got. I wanted to also tell you that Tony Smith has been worried about Escape Pod coming back. I think he's been worried and a little bit excited, because that would he's like the premier audio short story market out there.
Mm-hmm.
But Escape Pod just came back with a story after a couple of weeks, or almost a month, actually. And you might be interested because it's a Ken Scholes story.
Oh, yeah. I like him.
Have we got Lamentation already coming?
Lamentation is here and gone. Yeah. It's
that was fast.
It's assigned out. Yep.
Who's got it?
Julie.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess she can have one. One.
You bet.
And then she has to send it back to me, okay?
Oh, I didn't know you were interested in that one.
I am now.
Oh, you are now because...
now that Julie's got it.
Oh, how funny.
The story sounds good, though. It's alternate history. I'm talking about the Escape Pod story. It's alternate history. Hitler goes to Paris.
Hitler goes to Paris. Wasn't that the subject of the producers?
No, that was Springtime for Hitler.
Springtime for Hitler. Okay. Yeah, looks great. Hey, it's read by Alex Wilson.
Yeah.
Telltale Weekly. That's great.
Mm-hmm. But it's alternate history. So Hitler actually did go to Paris, but that was after he conquered it. In this case, I think he's just going there as a tourist.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, definitely want to hear that one. So what was the story? Why did Escape Pod go away for a little bit?
I haven't finished listening to the story. I started listening to it last night. The beginning intro, Stevie Lee did not explain why he was absent. He did deny that he was dead, though.
Okay. So
I'm not dead!
He is very much alive.
Well, I don't know. It could be all fake.
You know, I've been carrying around an iPhone for a while.
Right.
And it's terrific. It's a great, great device. But I don't listen to my audio on it. And if there is a drawback to the iPhone, it is battery life, I've found. Because if you use it constantly, you know, with apps and stuff, you'll get a day maybe out of your battery. So you need to charge it, you know, midday somewhere if you're going to use it to listen to your audio all day. It's going to need to be charged up.
Okay.
So anyway,
why don't you use it as an audiobook player?
I don't use it as an audiobook player because I've got my iPod, and
it's inferior?
No, my iPod lasts a good long time.
I gotcha.
But my iPhone, if I was using it as an audiobook player, I can't see that I'd get to use it as my phone because I need it to actually operate as my phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that if I did that, it would be no good. But if I ever update my iPod, you know, someday it'll fail. I think I'd probably just go ahead and get another of the same model, or probably, you know, the bigger one. I wouldn't get an iPod Touch. I would go ahead and get the biggest iPod I could get.
Don't get the biggest iPod. Get the Nano. I had to replace my.
I've got a 30 gig iPod, which is just the iPod, and I love it.
But it's too big.
It's not too big.
It is too big.
For what?
You can't put it in your shirt pocket.
Yes, I can.
You can? It's too bulky, too heavy.
No, I have no problem with it. I like it.
I disagree. I've seen both, and I actually prefer the previous generation. I'm going to write up a review of my new iPod. It's got all sorts of functions I don't need, like shake. Like, hey, I want to mix up my audiobook.
All right.
Shake it. I don't like the way the author...
So what have you got?
Put these chapters in these order.
You've got a new Nano?
I got a 5th generation Nano, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Because my 4th generation died.
Huh.
After digging myself out of some snow.
Oh.
And it was raining. And it was working that evening, and then the next day it was dead. So I think it was just, you know, heavy rain while it's in my pocket.
Gotcha.
And I wasn't thinking about the fact that it's in my pocket.
Okay. Yeah, if I was going to buy another iPod right now, I'd buy an iPod Classic.
I think they're dying, man.
I would assume that they are. That they're going to go ahead and push them out. So what? You can get 16 gigabytes on your Nano.
Yep.
Yeah, mine's got 30, and it's a pretty good size. I don't do much video on it at all.
But the hard drive models are more prone to failure.
Yeah, I'm sure. I haven't had any problems with mine, though.
I believe they also have more battery problems because
yeah, and I know that was true. That was true originally, but I have no battery problems either. Mine lasts a good long time.
You're lucky.
I've got a really good model, I guess.
I guess so.
It says here $250 for 120 gigs.
Yeah,
and they used to have a 180, so the 180 is not shown here. So maybe they are.
But you don't really need to have that much. I mean,
no, you really don't. You really don't.
You probably never even filled your 30 gigs with audiobooks, have you?
I could, but what's the point?
No, but you haven't. Is my point.
No, I have not.
Yeah, so my 8 one was constantly getting full, but my 16 is not.
Okay.
It's hovering at about 75% at most.
Mm-hmm.
I assume it will get filled at some point, but I'm thinking, anything under 100 gigabytes is going to be decent for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, all the music I own takes almost 10 gigs. And it's neat having that with me all the time, for when I feel like listening to that. And then the rest is audiobooks in mine. And it usually hovers at around 20 gigs.
Okay.
That's usually where I'm sitting. Not that couldn't be adjusted to 16 really easily. It's, I carry around a lot of stuff I don't really need to be carrying around, so.
I have no problem with having the extra. It's just for the size, you could fit 3 nanos inside the size of a classic.
Yep, you could. Yep, but I still like it. I wonder if they will discontinue it.
I'm betting
I would not.
Or
I've
at least
looked at the iPod Touches and haven't owned an iPhone. I don't think I'd want an iPod Touch. I would want a.
It's a different device. I mean, the idea is to give you some internet, and I like that.
Uh-huh.
I like that possibility, but it's just not used for the same thing.
Sure. Yeah, because I have the iPhone. The iPhone is the only device of that size that has usable internet on it that I've seen ever. It's very usable. It's very convenient. It works. It's readable. How they did it was just perfect. They did a good job.
I'm hearing some click-clacking like you're a train.
Yes, I'm zipping around here on the internet.
No, like a keyboard popping up and down rather than just a clicking of a mouse.
Okay, I haven't touched
just
the
like
keyboard.
A train there.
No touchy.
Oh, I just heard it. That's it right there, yeah.
That's my mouse.
That's the loudest mouse on the planet, man.
Well, I'm picking it up and, yeah. Like that.
Really noisy.
All right, I apologize.
I'm sure my mouse.
To you and all our listeners, and
here,
to
can you hear my mouse?
The maker of my mouse.
Listen.
And to Microsoft.
Listen.
To the internet, the people who make it. I apologize
listen.
to everyone.
Can you hear mine?
No.
I'm going to definitely want the cutie when it comes out from BBC Audio on March 1st.
The what?
The cutie, the Donald Westlake re-release of a novel.
Right.
BBC Audiobooks America is promoting Westlake stuff. It's got him in the author spotlight section now that he's deceased, I guess. Uh-huh. They've got The Road to Ruin, Somebody Owes Me Money, Watch Your Back, 361, Baby Would I Lie, The Cutie, and The Fugitive Pigeon all in their list.
Wow.
It says 361 is coming soon, even though it's already available. So I think what they mean is coming soon to digital download. They seem to be switching over to digital download rather than focusing on CD releases.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's just because they've never really tried retail. They've been a library publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Chivers and BBC Audio are not really, on the shelves that I've seen. They also have The Fugitive Pigeon coming, too, which is one I've heard before.
Uh-huh.
Nick Sullivan's the narrator, and I have a cassette version of that. It's another one of those nephew novels where the main character is a man on the run from a situation he didn't create, but is nevertheless stuck in. So, very entertaining novels. I just noticed that there's a new tie-in to the old Dakota Ring series. You know, the series called Blackjack Justice.
Uh-huh.
There's a new Blackjack Justice story, and it's a comic. There's an online comic, you know, like a web comic of Blackjack Justice. It's not like a strip. It's like the regular comic book size full pages. And it's scripted by Greg Taylor. But drawn, it's like based on a script, like a just regular radio drama script he's done, and then somebody's gone and drawn it, and they're about 9 pages in. So
well, that's neat.
I think that's really cool, and I also think it's kind of funny because if you were going to adapt Dakota Ring theater story, I would think you would have gone for the more comic booky one, which was the Red Panda. Red Panda is more comic booky than Blackjack Justice, which is like a detective story, right?
Right.
Red Panda is like a superhero story. So the guy who came up with the idea to do it as a comic must have said, let's go the other way. Yes.
Interesting.
What I also like about it is it's very dialogue driven. It's a dialogue driven story, so you see a lot of good dialogue in there, and that's something I find lacking in a lot of comics. Is they've got nice art and the story's sort of crappy and the dialogue's hideous.
Gotcha.
So I'm really glad to see that the art's great and the script is great. Makes a good match. The way I'm going to have to read it, though, I'm going to have to wait for the first issue to be finished because the serial nature, it takes too long for me to I have to reacquaint myself with what happened last panel. You know, once a week for a page. The pace is not. I mean, I guess that's fast-paced for comics, but once a month is the way I'm used to it, not once a week for a page.
Huh.
You're not still reading comics, are you?
No, I'm not.
You poor sucker.
I've got some graphic novels. Actually,
well, that's the same.
Sandman I really like.
Well, there's a new Sandman out.
Yeah, and I started to follow the Buffy comics, but then I kind of drifted away on those.
Why is that?
Because the store I was getting them from closed.
Oh, that would do that.
Yeah, and then I never found another source.
Yeah, there's a new Neil Gaiman Sandman book out called Brief Lives. I believe that's the new one. And I was saying to the guy at my local comic book store, I was saying, what's the story here? I thought Neil Gaiman was done with Sandman. And he said, well, don't you remember they did he did a text version of Sandman's story a while ago. This is them adapting that story. So it was it didn't go from comic book to text. It went from text to comic book.
Wow.
So I'm going to have to check that one out.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have a lot of Sandman left to read. I saw those at the bookstore. I saw a really nice set. I don't know if it was called Absolute Sandman, but they were nice. It was
they redid the covers or something.
Yeah, it was $100 a book, and they were.
Oh, Essential Sandman, like something like that.
Maybe, yeah, it was 2 volumes in a slip-cased hardcover for $100 each.
Pricey, but very pretty.
Yeah. Yep.
I can see people spending that very easily.
Sure.
Neil Gaiman's an amazing writer.
He is.
There's a recent interview with him on. I just posted it last night, actually. On CBC Radio, they have a little interview with him about. It's mostly about, I guess, promoting the new movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Coraline movie.
Yeah.
But they talked a little bit about the Newbery win. And then what I thought was good was they sort of went a little deeper than they usually do in the interviews with him about why it's okay for kids to get scared.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about how the publisher was saying this is way too scary for kids. Mm-hmm. And then he said, well, you think it's way too scary for kids. How about this? You try it out on your own kids and see if they're freaked out. And, of course, they tried it, and they said, no, they loved it, and they weren't freaked out. And then Neil was saying he got an email the other day from a friend of his, or someone emailed him and says, I'm going to go take my kid to see the Coraline movie. Will she be scared? Right? Seems like a perfectly reasonable question. And then Neil came and says, I don't know. It's kind of like you asking me, I'm going to make pizza for tomorrow night. Will my child like it? It's not the same thing. Everybody goes with different things. They've got a different kid, got a different set of attitudes, and, everybody's different. So you're saying it's too scary for kids. What you mean is you think it's too scary for your kid.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to go see it. I take my kids to it.
It's too scary, Scott.
No, I read the book.
Yeah.
Terrific book. But yeah, it was spooky. It was spooky.
I
read
they were going to make a Graveyard Book movie as well.
Oh, I hope so.
I think that would be better. I like Coraline, but I like Graveyard Book even better.
I love that book.
That's a good one.
This has been the SFFaudio Podcast. Please join us at www.sffaudio.com.